everyone, Amy here. Just wanted to quickly let you know that this video is being sponsored by Zavvi, but we'll have more on that later. In the world of movies, there are whole departments dedicated to checking the accuracy, the continuity, and the finer details of any movie production. But because it does come back down to human error at the end of the day, we don't always get things just perfect. Even the highest budget Hollywood movies aren't safe from making funny little mistakes that they may not want us to laugh at, but we have the right to. I'm Amy from Whatculture, and here are 8 hilarious prop f***ups in movies. 8. American Sniper. The Plastic Baby. For a movie that takes itself so seriously, this prop was undeniably absolutely unsuitable. Directed by Clint Eastwood, this biographical war drama tells the story of US military sniper Chris Kyle. It's serious subject material and a serious, straight dramatic action. So why then did they think that they could just whack a plastic baby in there and nobody would notice? The offending scene occurs when Kyle, played by Bradley Cooper, returns home to be with his wife and newborn child. He cradles the baby in his arms, having a serious toned conversation with his concerned spouse, and the whole bit is just made unintentionally hilarious by the fact that the infant is clearly just a plastic baby doll. Would it really have been so hard to get a baby in for the shoot? It wasn't some bombastic action scene where they needed a stand-in prop, they're literally just sitting at home. All due credit to Cooper, he manages to play this character so well that he almost lends life to the doll, but inevitably it wasn't quite enough. Its stationary arms and fixed-posed fingers are just too funny to ignore. 7. Rumble in the Bronx. The Gameless Game Gear. The bigwigs of Hollywood have always been a little behind on technology, it seems. Not in terms of movie tech or cameras and editing, of course, but more specifically when it comes to the things that kids are doing these days. They seem to notoriously be just a bit out of touch. We see this illustrated in the martial arts film that's widely recognised as Jackie Chan's big break into Hollywood, Rumble in the Bronx. At one point we see little Danny playing on a handheld game device, a Sega Game Gear given to him by another character. He looks to be having a whale of a time clicking and hitting away, smiling happily at his new gadget. The only hold-up is that for those who are vaguely familiar with the setup of the device, you'll be able to clearly see that there is no game cartridge in the thing. On the back of the machine there's a clear gap where the cartridge otherwise would have sat, and without one the gear is rendered useless. It's not the most tragic mistake we've ever seen, but it does serve as a reminder that Hollywood has never quite kept up with the times. 6. Sleepaway Camp. Inappropriate greenery. Sometimes in the world of cinema, crew are required to do ridiculous things. This can be anything from dressing up as an extra yourself to dabbling in last-minute arts and crafts, but not often does it include completely changing the season on set. Horror cult classic Sleepaway Camp was shot in early autumn, at which time many trees are turning brown or have already become golden. Dulled grass and browned leaves on the floor are a dead giveaway that the cold seasons are approaching, and this is absolutely not what you want for a film set at the peak of summer at a summer camp in holiday season. Allegedly as part of the set dressing, crew were required to fix every bit of prop foliage, false greenery or otherwise, by spray painting it green. Clearly not every area they were going to be filming in had been accounted for in terms of seasonal greenery, and so it all had to be hastily fixed as filming went on.
Hello there! I am the strange doctor, and I'm here to prescribe you new merchandise from Zavvi. Oh. Yeah. Right, that makes a lot more sense.
Yes, so earlier I mentioned that this video is brought to you in partnership with Zavvi, who have a new collection of merch to celebrate the release of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Zavvi has exclusive clothing collections and a whole host of other products from the biggest franchises: Marvel, DC, Disney, your favourite TV shows, PlayStation, Nintendo and Xbox, to name but a few. Zavvi is the planet of pop culture where film, TV, gaming, music and comic books collide like multiverse versions of myself. Alright, mate? Plus, the latest issue of The Lowdown, Zavvi's free digital monthly magazine about all things pop culture, is now available. The Lowdown is your go-to place for all things film, TV, and gaming. And in this month's edition, we go behind the scenes on Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, upcoming Star Wars show Obi-Wan Kenobi, Pixar's Lightyear, Horror Dashcam, and much, much more. Check it out using the link in the description. But I'm dressed like this to tell you about Xavi's new Doctor Strange merch featuring the man himself, Wanda America Chavez, and that weird eye monster thing that he has to fight using portals. That do anything? Oh. Honestly, this merch is so good and affordable, people won't even notice if you've got 3 eyes. Not only that, but use our code CULTURE to get 20% off clothing or 10% off site-wide. Exclusions apply. The link is in the description. And now, back to the video. I don't know, just use a wipe then.
5. Twin Peaks. The overpopulation. Now, all of you Twin Peaks fans are going to get annoyed with me right now because it's ostensibly a TV show. However, I raise you that in fact the pilot episode bore an extended European version that ran as a standalone TV movie. And within this TV movie is the funny f*** up I speak of. The population misinformation on Twin Peaks' famous sign is a subject of much discussion within the fanbase. Artist Stephen LaRose is the man responsible for the design of the now widely recognised sign, having thrown the design together in a matter of hours, thinking little of it. He was given the brief of Pacific Northwest cheesy to work around, making sure to acknowledge the book's existing canon by listing the population as a modest 5,120 people. There arose a problem with this though when ABC execs got their hands on the episode. They worried that America didn't quite have an appetite for small-town drama, and noted that they were very unhappy with the population figure listed on the sign. It was thus digitally changed to multiply the figure tenfold, making Twin Peaks' new populace a bustling 51,201. This was an intentional change on the part of the studio, but it fundamentally things up because it just sort of didn't make any sense. Dialogue still refers to it as a tiny town a long way from the world, whereas a population that large would have made it one of the state's largest cities. This studio error that ruined the sign props still annoys fans today. As the TV movie version was made from the same footage edited for the show, they share in this mistake. 4. Prisoners. Jake Gyllenhaal's computer. What makes this particular prop up funny is not any screaming error which you can immediately place. Instead, the hilarity comes from the fact that on just this one prop computer there are so many tiny errors that they add up to one big mess. This 2013 thriller is serious through and through. Centering around the abduction of a small child, the tone is inevitably dark. Our central detective Loki at one point turns to the internet to aid in his investigations, studying a webpage titled palocalnews.net. Though you may be focused on Gyllenhaal, honestly me too, if you look at the page itself you'll spot a myriad of small mistakes. In the top left quarter of the page along the options bar of the site you'll notice the opinion tab, only someone clearly forgot to run a spell check on it because it instead reads opinion. At the same time you can look down to the bottom right to find more mistakes. First you'll see a red cross over the network icon showing that despite Loki's web surfing, he's not actually connected to the internet. And just next to this, the date is displayed as 2/27/13, when the film is actually set just before Christmas. All that on just one web page? Come on, isn't someone meant to be checking for these things? 3. Red Dragon. The Mrs. Doubtfire VHS. Usually there's nothing particularly hilarious about small anachronistic mistakes in films. Oh, you saw a 1972 car model in a movie that's set in 1969, wow, big whoop. The anachronism isn't what makes it funny in itself, it usually needs a little something extra, a bit of spice to bring the laughs. In actuality, there are far more egregious temporal mistakes in the film than the one I'm going to talk about here, including reliance on a DNA technology that wasn't even invented yet, and several props, including a flag and a holster that should have looked entirely different. It's not funny though that they used the wrong Georgia state flag. However, it is funny that the whole 1980 timeframe of the film is betrayed by the inclusion of the Robin Williams hit family movie, Mrs. Doubtfire. About half an hour into the film, we see the Leeds family's VHS collection, and spotted amongst more suitable movies is Mrs. Doubtfire, a movie that didn't come out for another 13 years after the film was set. For Hannibal Lecter's realism downfall to come at the hands of the beloved 90s PG comedy Mrs. Doubtfire is unbearably good. 2. The Dead Zone. An extraterrestrial lawsuit. David Cronenberg's The Dead Zone sees a regular man develop supernatural abilities after a car accident leaves him in a coma. He wakes up 5 years down the line to find that he can tell things about people and their lives simply by touching them. His very first vision comes when he touches the hand of a nurse treating him in hospital. He sees a young girl, the nurse's daughter, caught in a house fire. You wouldn't think much of this scene in general, but it may entertain you to know that it had to be totally reshot because of one small copyright-related issue. In the first cut, you could see in the background of the girl's doll's room a small E.T. figurine on her shelves. The doll wasn't prominently displayed or particularly noticeable. The average viewer likely would have thought nothing of it, but it was enough to get Universal Pictures' attention. Universal took umbrage and threatened to sue if they kept the likeness of one of their characters present, so Cronenberg's crew had to reshoot to get rid of the toy. For what was essentially just a background Easter egg to a much-beloved kids' film, this seems like an unreasonable amount of hassle. 1. The Grand Budapest Hotel. A typo on every single box. Even a painstakingly detailed Wes Anderson production isn't safe from mistakes, as proven by graphic designer Annie Atkins when working on the Grand Budapest Hotel. Speaking on the 99% Invisible podcast, she explained her role in production and highlighted one rather unfortunate mistake. Now, not every prop mistake is worth fixing if it's small enough that people won't notice. However, Atkins describes the concept of hero props, a prop that she describes gets a bit more screen time or has a character of its own. These are highly visible props that have to be made utterly perfect and must fit a description in the script. Messing up one of these is a big problem, so messing up hundreds of them, yeah, that's definitely worse. Halfway through production, Atkins explains, she received a call from Anderson drawing her attention to the Mendel's bakery boxes, which at one time are so prominent that they fill almost the entire screen. With one simple observation, Anderson brought everything crashing down around Atkins, pointing out to her that she's put 2 T's in patisserie, prompting the realization that every single Mendel's bakery box has a glaring mistake in the way of a misspelling front and center. Her hand-lettered text had never gone through a spell checker before going to printing, and so her design was sent off to be printed onto hundreds of boxes without ever being corrected. Luckily, she said Anderson is very good to work with and didn't just absolutely ruin her life over this, but every single box did have to be corrected in post so that patisserie was spelled correctly, and that has got to be absolutely humiliating in itself. And with that, we've reached the end of this list of 8 hilarious prop fuck-ups in movies. If you know any more good ones, then please let us know in the comments down below. And remember to check out Whatculture.com for more lists and articles like this every single day. As always, I've been Amy from Whatculture, and I'll catch you next time.